So I don't know about a thunderous closing, definitely not, but I want to start off by saying that I'm truly delighted to be here yet once again for the 27th Annual Capital Link, and I want to truly congratulate both Nikos and Olga for a truly amazing event that has so much to offer by bringing together, I would say, global investors and leading policymakers to discuss Greece's transformation. And I'm very grateful because these closing remarks follow an amazing panel on investment. And it is true that if one looks at the figures, there's a lot of investment pouring into Greece. But there's an elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room is we need people. We need people to actually, take advantage of these investments and to actually work on these investments. And so I would say that the economic reform in Greece and the economic transformation in Greece goes hand in hand with the major transformation of the Greek labor market. And Greece has tried for the past 6 years to, I would say, put in place a major transformation of the Greek labor market. I want to remind all of you sitting here that 6 years ago, Greece had an unemployment rate of roughly 18%. Today, Greece has an unemployment rate of 8.2%. That's a 10 percentage point decrease. It's the largest decrease in unemployment in EU's history. And this has been the result of a very clear, consistent policy based on 5 pillars. We have a strategy that we have put in place and have been enforcing for the past 6 years that's focused on these 5 pillars, and those 5 pillars are the ones on which we base our strategy moving forward as well. So those 5 pillars are the following. The first one has to do with targeting key individual groups where we see that there's room for improvement. And I'm referring mostly to women, to youth, to people with disabilities, and to elderly people. So we focus on those, I would say, key individual groups. But why? Because there's a lot of room for improvement. Youth unemployment. Youth unemployment has dropped by 48% since 2019 through career days, apprenticeships, wage subsidy programs. Women's unemployment has decreased by over 50%. Greece, for the first time in history, had a single-digit women's unemployment rate, 9.8% for the first time, below 10% in Greece's history. For people with disabilities, employment is now fully compatible with disability pensions. And as far as seniors are concerned, Greece recently changed its legislation and did away with a system pursuant to which, if you were a pensioner and you wanted to work, you had a percentage of your pension being withheld in order for you to be able to work. We decided to do away with that reduction, and that led to a very significant increase of working pensioners. We went from 35,000 declared working pensioners to 250,000 working pensioners, just following that reform, which actually created a healthy incentive. So the first pillar is targeting key populations for higher participation in the labor market. The second pillar has to do with reskilling and upskilling. It's a major priority for our government to invest in reskilling and upskilling. We have a massive reskilling and upskilling program underway. We're talking about roughly 500,000 beneficiaries that have been trained on both green and digital skills. And at the same time, we're focusing on vocational education and training. We have apprenticeship schools that offer free education in 38 high-demand specialties, from cybersecurity to logistics, with job placement rates approaching 100%. I was very interested to hear about, the reference to the Onyx shipyards. Onyx shipyards came to us some time ago and said, we need this specific specialty. It's missing from the labor market. So we actually crafted the program, an apprenticeship program, just for Onyx. based on the concrete needs that Onyx had. And this was a win-win for everybody because Onyx needed people, specifically in that specialty. We wanted to assist in greater absorption rates in the labor market. And this is a pattern we follow with many Greek companies. Think of the optics here. We're talking about the Greek public state coming to second the private sector for specialties that are in most need in the labor market. The third pillar has to do with active labor market policies. Since 2019, over 250,000 job seekers have found work through our public employment agencies' subsidized employment programs. And what's really important here is we go and see afterwards what percentage of them are still in the job a year later. Roughly 2 out of 3 are still in the job. Would I like that to be 3 out of 3? Yes, of course I would. But still, I think we're on very good track as far as making the most of such investment as far as subsidized employment programs are concerned. The fourth pillar has to do with transparency and greater compliance in the labor market. We have put in place what we call the digital labor card. The digital labor card records actual working time and basically ensures that workers are paid for the time worked. And this has led to a tremendous increase of compliance and has helped tackle underdeclared work and undeclared work. The fifth and last pillar has to do with what Nikos mentioned earlier. It has to do with the strategic effort of the Greek government to reverse brain drain into brain gain. As you know, during the financial crisis, more than 680,000 Greeks left the country in quest of better job opportunities. We have started a systematic effort roughly a year ago. We hold one-day events in various cities of the world where many Greeks have actually gone to work. We've had an event in London, in Amsterdam, in Düsseldorf, and in Stuttgart. And the fifth event was in New York. It took place yesterday. I would say so the date was strategically chosen for it to be just a day before Capital Link. So thank you, Nikos and Olga, for the great collaboration. And you know, I think the two events go truly hand in hand because as I said in the beginning, there's no investment without people, and you know, there's no labor market without investment. So I think the two are truly intertwined. So yesterday was a day that, at least as far as I'm concerned, filled me with a lot of optimism about Greece. It's the largest rebrain event we've had. And I say this because I don't think it's a no-brainer. It was a tougher pitch for us to come to New York than to go to London. Yet we had a lot more people in New York. We had over 1,500 Greeks from the United States of America and from Canada flying into New York from, truly every corner of the United States of America, from Alaska to Texas, from California to North Carolina, from Montreal to Ohio. They flew in to attend this event. Why? Because we had 35 of the biggest Greek companies who came over. They came over with a lot of, I would say, high executive staff, and they did thousands of interviews. Thousands is not an exaggeration. There's a company that just in one day did 420 interviews yesterday. And I think just the fact that this event took place and it was so well attended speaks volumes about the major transformation of Greece. And that major transformation has to do with the economy, and it has to also do with the labor market. If you told somebody who's working in one of the big firms in New York that they would actually attend an event to go back to Greece a few years ago, they would have trouble believing it. Yet it happened yesterday, and I must tell you that we have, even from yesterday's event, the first hires took place on the spot. So that's why I talk about a day with a lot of optimism as far as the human capital is concerned. So 5 main pillars which have led to concrete results. Which are those results? First, unemployment rate down from 18% to 8%. Second, increase in the minimum wage by 35%, increase in the average wage of roughly 28.5%. More than 500,000 new jobs created. Increase in full-time employment. This is a really important statistic. We have over 76% of those employed in Greece employed full-time. This is a very significant qualitative increase as far as the labor market is concerned. Reduction of Social Security contributions by 6 percentage points. Nearly 2 million workers protected by the digital labor card, with the effect that that has on undeclared and other declared work. And we have 2.2 million more declared overtime hours this year compared to last year. And most importantly, we have 420,000 Greeks that have returned to the country in the last decade. In addition to the above concrete results, we recently passed new legislation that has I would say that aims at introducing more flexibility and efficiency in the labor market. This new legislation makes hiring simpler and faster, less documents required. Let me put it bluntly. It used to be the case, you needed 4 documents to make one hire. Now you need just 1 document. Simpler. You can even hire people through your cell phone based on the most recent legislation that we passed. People wanting to have a second job over the weekend, for instance, 2-day job, in addition to the regular job, we have now introduced the possibility for fast-track hiring via cell phones for work of up to 2 days. More options and more flexibility as far as overtime work is concerned. Reducing bureaucracy by eliminating outdated forms such as leave books, annual personnel statements. So a number of initiatives to cut red tape, to eliminate, I would say, bureaucratic burdens. And at the same time, the law reinforces workers' rights through measures such as extending maternity allowance for pregnancy and childbirth. And I say this taking into account that, in my opinion, the greatest challenge our country has is the demographic challenge. Ensuring the parental leave allowance is tax-free, non-seizable, non-transferable. Introducing health and safety coordinators in the workplace. Offering, for instance, free first aid training seminars for employees. So I would say that taken together with our broader reforms, this law contributes to the creation of a modern, transparent, and inclusive labor market. One that boosts productivity, encourages innovation, and provides stability and predictability for investors. Greece's progress is not only seen in the sharp reduction in unemployment, but it's also, I would say, reflected in the emergence of a sustainable win-win model where businesses grow, workers prosper, and structural reforms deliver real, lasting benefits to society as a whole. Challenges remain, obviously, but just to give you an order of magnitude, I mentioned at the beginning that Greece now has an unemployment rate of 8.2%. The lowest unemployment has ever been in Greece is 7.3%. That's the lowest in Greece's history. So we're not far away from that all-time low as far as unemployment is concerned. And I think that we're on a good track to actually achieve even better results as far as enhancing employment is concerned. So I would say that this approach demonstrates that economic growth and social protection, they're not mutually exclusive. They are rather complementary. And by aligning the interests of workers, businesses, and policymakers, Greece has created a blueprint for resilience, competitiveness, and shared prosperity. Thank you very much.